Yep, that's me. You're probably wondering how I ended up in this situation.
Hello, and thank you for tuning in to the Flatirons Syndicate Motorsports Podcast. This show is brought to you by Flatirons Tuning, your source for any aftermarket or OEM Subaru parts. Be sure to check out our store at flatironstuning.com and stay tuned with Flatirons Tuning.
I don't know if podcast world probably knows by now about all the stuff that's happened in my car in the last month or so.
Well, should we just dive should we dive into it now, or?
Yeah, let's dive into
sure.
it
I'll
now.
just say I won an overall and then I wrecked my car. So there you go. So anyways, I've been looking at
that's episode
motor
95.
stuff.
And
yeah, you forgot all that part, Tasso. Hey, thank you guys for subscribing. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you guys listen all the way to the end. If
Drop
you haven't checked out our
comment.
Patreon, definitely subscribe to our Patreon. We've got a Discord channel now where I'm Ryan Dussex is kind of a ghost and posts his amateur information at amateur hours, and
everyone else
can be found there. And
posts so much more 95, than we do there.
Yeah, I know.
It's actually kind of crazy how fast it's starting to grow, but it in a good way. But it's like, oh man, and it's like having a party, and then everybody just keeps more and more people keep coming in, and like, I really need to start paying attention to this thing.
Yeah, we really should do one of these live with the Discord and do the whole thing live and stuff too, like all those streamers do.
Yeah,
for their video game stuff.
This is episode 95, so for episode 100, that gives us a little over a month. I think in a month we might be able to figure that out. I think we should be that would maybe be the goal, is to actually live stream the 100th episode.
Yeah,
that would be sick. Oh
yeah,
man, I got broken glass all on my hands, so that's part of my adventures from this weekend.
Mm-hmm. I got some too.
Good. Well, all right. Well, let's stop talking around it. Tasso, we should start with the good news before we go into the not so fun news as far as what you've been up to.
Yeah, it's hard to even think about it right now. One, because I'm still concussed, and two, because it feels like a lifetime ago.
And this is what, like not even 4 weeks ago. It was like 3 weeks ago, 3.5 weeks ago at this point.
Yeah, like 3.5, less than a month ago.
Yeah,
this is a real roller coaster of a month, literally. Yeah. So, so at the Monarch Hill Climb, on the same one we mentioned a second ago that goes up to tree line and stuff, I finally got my overall win.
Yeah,
which was good.
So won the rally class, but won the whole hill climb overall. Finally beat Spencer Steele.
Yeah,
you did not let him steal your thunder.
Beat the horsepower cars, set a course record for our class.
Yeah,
we had officially the course record before, but there was an unofficial time that was ahead of our time.
Okay.
But we just went ahead and cleaned that whole thing up by like another 4 seconds or 5 seconds. So
wow.
I just went ahead and put that whole topic to bed, which was good. But man, it still feels like I didn't even have time for it to really like settle in and be awesome before then. I went and had a fun weekend up until it wasn't a fun weekend at Gridlife.
Right.
So
well, let's not leave it too quickly. Just, did anything change? Did you make any changes? What was the difference that let you actually win? Get that win?
I actually had a rough weekend the whole weekend at Monarch. We were fighting all sorts of essentially mistakes, like messy runs and this, that, and the other. And I came in new and I had whooped ass tires. But it's not a hill normally we count on doing well on, because it's such a horsepower hill.
Okay. Because of the elevation, or just because of the course itself?
It's like 4 drag races at 9,000, 10,000, 11,000 feet. So, there's just not a whole lot. And there's you can probably count the corners on one hand on that hill. So it's not very many. It's a series of essentially, drag races, like I said.
Okay.
So normally the horsepower guys, it's called a horsepower hill. So it's normally, swept up pretty good by those guys.
Mm-hmm.
And then, and also the surface there is so loose, either you make a set of tires specifically for that road because it's a bunch of crushed gypsum dirt. So it's essentially, if you picture like drywall all powdered up,
and
the road's made out of that.
Is it
So
really
it's a tough-
abrasive?
No,
No.
it can be if the rocks come out. Like I've gotten a flat on our toe, like our truck there before, just driving down the course and just happened to hit a rock and it punched right through the tread on a
Whoa.
10 ply tire. So
That's
it
crazy.
can be really abrasive, but generally the surface itself just turns into this moon powder, like this baseless moon powder, and it ruts
okay.
up really hard and stuff like that. So I don't ever really count on, I've tried to make tires for that course before, but you essentially either you ruin a set of tires or you take an already ruined set of tires and you make them slightly more ruined kind of thing. So, because essentially you just got to put paddles on.
Right.
But for some reason this year we figured, oh, we'll just show up, we'll, hunt the championship, we'll put the weekend behind us, we'll move on to other courses and new tires and stuff for those. And we showed up and the course was crazy good. They put a new base down, and then we've had a really wet kind of summer in the high altitude areas out here. So like it was packed down. It was wider than normal. The ditches weren't it was road base out through the ditches in some places. It was like a white superhighway with all that like packed gypsum. So
that's awesome.
So yeah, like it was people talk about record roads. This was a record road. So
that's awesome.
So yeah, and then we just went fast. We kept making mistakes. I was on, I rode two wheels for like 50 feet at one point. I had a tank slapper through the trees at like 120 miles an hour.
Oh yeah.
It was a mess of a mess of a weekend, but we were pushing really hard, and finally we got a good run together for our race run. We'd been blowing up switchbacks, coming in too hot and sliding out into the pillows on the outside and stuff like that. And so finally we got that good run together and took a handful of seconds off of our times up to that point. And yeah, we won not just by a little bit, like set the record by like 5 or 6 seconds. We won the weekend by like 3 or 4 seconds.
Wow.
On a 2-minute course. So
that's awesome. That's huge.
So
you guys beat the record, but did other people also beat the record? You were just the fastest of them? Like, were multiple, like everyone had the same conditions, obviously, but like everyone was like really killing it. You just killed it the best?
I think so. I'm not sure like how many other classes set records that weekend. There is an overall record there that's in, so I ran like a 2:00 and change. There's like a 1:56 there. Just a magic run somewhere, but all the rest of the records are well up in the twos there. So
nice.
So that's a open wheel record, I think, that still stands.
Didn't I see that Jeff Swart set the rear wheel drive again?
It's possible, yeah.
Or whatever. What he's not in like rear wheel drive open.
Rally 2-wheel drive.
Rally 2-wheel drive.
No,
okay.
Rally 2-wheel drive. So
okay.
So yeah, he's got that. Dave Kern was giving him, a run for his money kind of throughout the weekend too. And actually Kern, I mean, it's going to be a little anachronistic here, but Kern did just beat him this last weekend at Temple Canyon too. So nice job, Dave. One for the, I mean, I guess we're all hometown guys. Zwart lives here too, but for the little guys or whatever, everyone's an underdog in this country. So, one for the underdogs. So, yeah,
nice.
So it was a good weekend. It was cool.
Long time coming, and it's awesome. It's awesome that all finally fell into place and all finally landed right.
Yeah, we finally played with some clickers on the suspension too.
Oh, made some adjustments, dude.
Yeah, and they changed things. I changed them back.
That wasn't okay.
That's not what I wanted.
Sauce is already.
So, I think the big old tank slapper was because the suspension was a little soft. Because because it's a bunch of drag races, you want pretty soft suspension for all that traction. But there's still a big old bump mid corner at the top speed on the whole course, and it's just a little bit uncontrolled through there. And so put a couple clicks back in it, and it felt better. So,
nice.
But so yeah, we ended up even after Gridlife ended up right back at the baseline setting. So nice job, Cusco.
Yeah.
So just
big
baseline guys.
Right.
So
Well, so now let's talk about grid life and the rally sprints, and yeah,
Yeah.
I mean,
So
people have probably seen it at this point, but kind of what
yeah,
happened?
I don't know, to tell you the truth. And not because like I got a concussion, I didn't get knocked out. I do remember the whole event. I
Mhm.
don't know. Essentially we're just having a fun ass weekend. The rally sprint course out there at Alpine Horizon Fest was kind of rough this year versus other years, but that's not even what it happened. You know, we're having a fun weekend. We're pushing hard. We're dicing with, Texas Dave and the Black Rifle dudes and stuff like that. And it rained a bit one night, and then the next morning it kind of was misty. So the dirt out there is kind of that clay, and it turned into like dirt track, like a circle track clay
Hard
grippy
hard
stuff.
Mhm.
pack. Okay.
Yeah. So like, you see a picture like World of Outlaws out there doing, one wheel wheelies and stuff like that. And it was
Mhm.
that kind of grippy. So, and we
Hmm.
just, set into a right-hand corner. We were pushing. I mean, I was just me in the car, no co-drivers at this event. So pushing hard, set into a corner. It got a little bit light, and then the next thing I know, I'm just flipping real hard. So
Hmm.
it's a bit of an off-camber corner. I've seen. I mean, of all the places to have a good roll, this is a pretty safe course to do it on. There's no trees around.
Hmm.
Plenty of people nearby to help, and also tons of cameras and stuff, right? So it's um, we have drone footage of it. There was a guy standing with the camera in the apex of the corner where the roll happened. There was a 360 cam on the roof. There was a camera inside the car. So yeah, all sorts of stuff.
So this wasn't off
And
of one of the jumps. This was just like off of the edge of a corner.
not even off the edge. I was just in a corner on the apex, online, on, set, like just doing my thing, just doing a corner real good. And then did a corner real bad all of a sudden. The guy in the corner, I haven't seen full res of the videos yet. Um, and the resolution I see, I can't see anything. The guy that has the full res videos that he's editing together, he says he thinks I debeated mid corner. There's a right hand corner, so he thinks that left front wheel debeated and dug in. Um,
Oh,
and that was just enough to get the car to come over.
okay.
Um, it's an off camber corner and tons of traction, like I said, so it was probably already kind of predisposed to leaning that way pretty good. I mean,
Hmm.
there's, video, same guy, same corner, Texas Dave coming through, and he's three wheeling it through the corner. There's so much traction.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't
Weird.
know. But it went over hard. The chassis done. And even just yesterday, I got, tearing into the car a bit, and I have a little bit better some of the damage, an idea of the damage assessment, and it's pretty well damaged. So it seems
The
like
car
it.
happens to be right behind me on the other
Yeah,
side of the wall,
right.
and yeah, man. I'm glad you're okay.
Yeah,
I mean,
I
the
felt
cage
like
did its job for sure.
right.
But yeah, there's a lot of stuff. I mean, that whole front of the car, everything moved.
Yeah,
There's a lot of stuff that's crumpled in, and yeah, it's crazy.
yeah. I've had a lot of concussions over the years from bike racing and stuff like that. So I felt I'm kind of I easily get them, but I still felt kind of weak. Like, man, I just rolled a car. I got a helmet on. I got all this kind of like, what the hell? But then after like looking at Hans and stuff, I don't have a containment seat, and I will next time around.
Mm.
But after looking at the car and the amount of energy that went through it to do the damage that happened there, I don't feel nearly as bad about the injury. So like for anyone that's wondering, the right front kind of corner took a lot of the biggest damage in terms of sheet metal stuff. So like the roof on the right side strut tower, whole right fender, core support, everything is pushed over to the left.
Hmm.
Pushed across the car, pushed enough that where the cowl panel, like where the wipers and stuff mount, on the left side, the other side of the car, it's buckled on that side too. So the
Yeah.
whole cowl got pushed over to the left strut tower. The whole core support's all buckled and pushed over. I'm guessing the frame rails are pushed over. Both
Yeah.
front lower control arms are bent.
Like
Um,
these beefy aluminum control arms. I think it's the left front is actually
it's
like
like
it
near.
has a dip in it now.
Yeah.
Super
So
weird.
Is there more caster in that now, though?
uh
Inquiring minds wonder.
I don't know.
less
Like
caster. I know it'd be more. Yeah. it's got a little bit more caster, but way less camber. I don't know if it's worth it.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh yeah,
It's
yeah,
like
yeah,
got
yeah,
positive camber on
Well,
both
and
sides because
it's gonna
both control arms are pushed.
it's usually it's weird to see aluminum bend like that. Like because
Yeah, not crack
it's
and
like
stuff.
bend a lot. It bent a
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like near a 90-degree bend in the left lower control arm. But the right side strut tower is pushed in so much that
Yeah.
the strut is actually pushed up against the inner fender and the body and stuff on that side.
Yeah.
The right side, like the ball joint at the control arm, must something happen to it because it's pushed half out of the way and it's all loose and stuff. The rotor on the right side is cracked from where the rotor got pushed into the control arm.
Like and the
Dang.
rotor is now wavy.
Yeah, the rotor has
the
a wave to it.
impact.
It's all cracked. Right front hub tore out of that strut. Like it just tore
Yeah.
itself out of the
Tore
strut.
the ears. Yeah.
I think the left side rear strut is bent just from a hard impact. Like the same impact that gave me the concussion. I think the car did 1.5 flips in the air and then came down on the left side really hard. Like with all that energy. And I think that's just like a really hard bottom out I think it bent those strut ears just a little bit. The backside, like the floor behind my seat, is all pushed up and banged up. There's holes on the right side floor too, which I think aren't all that new.
Okay.
But,
Dang.
Yeah. There's a lot of damage to the right side floor.
Yeah.
Like it's.
I think some of it's new. Some of that I think has been working on for some time, but I think this encouraged it maybe.
Yeah.
So also I just dismounted some wheels last night too or dismounted some tires and spun the wheels and I thoroughly bent a couple wheels and not like a ding in the outside, like the whole barrel is shifted on the center section.
Yeah.
And these are nice rally wheels, like 15-inch rally wheels and stuff.
Mhm.
One has a dent mid barrel. So like, if this is the barrel, right? There's a dent like right in the middle. I don't know how that happens.
I wonder if that's.
It could be from your debeated tire and it caught a rock.
Yeah.
And that rock just bent that in. Right?
Exactly. I think it was a tire that was already flat, and then it must have hit something in that process as it was doing its thing. So,
well, like that right front caliper, something really crazy happened when it had to have been an impact. That
for the
because
rotor?
it's like because you've got the control arm where the rotor bent because the control arm actually contacted the rotor.
Yeah.
But for it to contact the rotor had to be folded way out and then came back. And
so that makes sense with the strut being torn too, but it was still rotating because there's a aluminum embedded in the rotor in a whole stripe, like for probably a quarter of the rotor.
Yeah.
So I don't know, man.
Weird.
And so far, the most heartbreaking thing, other than wrecking my beautiful red car, the transmission also got pushed over somehow on its mount and cracked one of the mounting tabs on the case. So it's a cracked case on the transmission, and the whole, turning concepts mount that's down there is probably a little bit noodled. And I can see like witness marks where the bolts all shifted and they pulled some powder coat with them and cracked the case in the process. And
as unfortunate as that is, that's actually not even the worst of the worst, which is the engine is like not in a good way.
Oh, it's fine. It just lost all the oil. So
thanks for tuning in. To hear the whole conversation, click below for the full episode of this podcast or tune in every week on iTunes or Spotify. If you like these episodes, be sure to like and subscribe to the channel because your support is what makes all of this possible. As always, this show is brought to you by Flatirons Tuning, your premier source for any Subaru OEM or aftermarket parts. Check out our website at flatirons tuning.com, and as always, stay tuned with Flatirons Tuning.